Tata Curve ka trendsetter SUV ke bawandor bawandar ka lapoy ha Shillong. Wan ban test drive ka coupe SUV paninggong ekari ani pila ban phone tiki number bala ay harum.
Ka first International Leadership and Coaching Conference, kala long ha ka Henry pa kanyo trek nopra, Mount Olive Culinary and Hospitality Management, ka ba lapalong da ka Hundredfold Academy, rengkat ka jinge lang bat ka Team Coach International Malaysia. Ha ka ni ka jinge lang ka bala bu ya ka pang Leading Tomorrow, Coaching for Future Ready Leadership. Lai don lang ru ba po lengdo menteri ke tanat kam jongo kai per thai jong jela ko mu kongsan ublai men si mi kinong ichim menta halo ke jing don kam jong ga jinglong nong elam ba Frederick Roy kharkongor ko mu sumbut kongsan hakani ke jingelang ka ba job na wan ban ichim menta ru da ki nong ai jingi kai ki ban po Malaysia Thailand ki bala kdo ya ke benta ki ba per jong ga jinglong nong elam bat kum nu ke jing ai jingi kai kala ban wan ra ya ki jing kala ha ke jela Managing Director ka Hundredfold Academy uba Sani Maulong ulap benrap ba gajing tu jongani gajing elang kalong ban ai bensim ya gi breu ke badon sap bat ban penmi ya ki nong elam ki betebet hapo ke jela.
Can we all clap together?
May we call Dr. Captain Shan to hand over his book?
Yes, sir.
It's right at the back of the hall and has always walked the talk, has been partnering with me in politics, in public affairs for the past many decades. And it's really a matter of pride for Meghalaya to be able to host this year's interactive session on leadership. And I'm sure that I also spoke a while back to our Principal Secretary in the Department of Arts and Culture, Khubor. I believe he was here this morning. And he's one of the major influencers in the state's decision-making process. And it's really something encouraging to see that we have guests, international guests, paying attention and traveling to Shillong to share their thoughts, their experiences on this very important and very significant key stone of the entire process of decision making, which is leadership. As young students, we were taught that a nation without vision shall perish. And I think nothing exemplifies that better than the fact that when we look all around us, all around our neighbors, we could see nations crumbling. We could see nations in a state of chaos because of that precise lack of leadership. A leadership that has not grown, a leadership that has not matured, but a leadership that continues to work on an ad hoc approach. You can't lead a people on an ad hoc approach, which is why coaching becomes very handy, very relevant, very significant. Many of our friends might not know this, but Shillong has been at the forefront of political and cultural activities since the capital town was shifted from Sora, Cherrapunji, in 1864, and Shillong became the first capital town of the British in 1874. Is out because a lot of people, especially from outside this region, are not familiar with the basics of Shillong as a capital town, which today is a city of roughly 7 lakh people. The city of Shillong, I would call it a confluence of influences, because there were diverse influences that shaped it into what it is today. When you speak about our civilization, we are an ancient race. The Khasi Jaintias and the Garos were two ancient races that migrated to these hills in roughly 1500 BC and had traveled from South Asia to be where we are today. Therefore, the influence of for instance, our language itself derived its roots from the Mon-Khmer root of languages, Austroasiatic language. And Mon is a language spoken in Myanmar, Khmer is a language spoken in Cambodia. And as we reach these hills, what is the best proof and evidence that we were the first to arrive in the hills is that compared to the rest of the northeast, this is the best possible space available. And only the first party who would arrive at a beginning spot would be the party to get the best spot around that area. So we have been privileged that today, as we are about to reach the first quarter of the 21st century, not only have we survived, not only have we withstood the test of history, but we have also been able to thrive as a community. I mean, today you have a formal two-day session on coaching on leadership. When we took our positions of leadership as student leaders, we never knew that there is such a thing as coaching and leadership. We simply did it because we felt the need to do it. So we have come a long way, but I should share this with this audience, that when you look at how many renowned scholars and people of eminence have shaped the history of Meghalaya, and more especially Shillong. Some of you might have heard of the great earthquake of 1897, which changed the geography of the southern slopes of the Khasi Hills. 1897, on the 12th of June, that earthquake brought down a few buildings and there were a few casualties. But a year later, a Swiss couple who lived in Shillong conceived the idea of a hotel that would cater to the then largely white population, and came up with the idea of Hotel Pynlong, saying that hope springs eternal in the human breast. And for that Swiss couple to have created the oldest hotel in the region just a year after the great earthquake is a testimony to the strength and the resilience of the human spirit. Today, I'm proud to share with you that we have had Tagore, who wrote the national anthems of both India and Bangladesh, and had stayed in Shillong on several occasions and penned 3 of his best works here. We had Niraj Chaudhary, who wrote an autobiography of an unknown Indian, one of the best rated works by an Indian. And there's an entire chapter dedicated to Upper Shillong and his experiences as a child in this small city of ours. So, again, I also recall my interaction with one of our businessmen who contributed a lot towards the economy of the hills, on Sngi. He was barely educated, but he narrated how, when he heard that there was a plan to make a movie on Gandhi, he reached out to the makers of the movie, and which is why he recalled how Richard Attenborough had sat with him a couple of times until he could offer his due to be featured in the movie. That is something about Shillong. And I think a lot of you might not know this. We still complain about our relative lack of growth and progress. But Shillong is also home to the founder of the ATM. He was born here in 1925, and next year would be the centenary of the birth of the founder of the ATM, who was a Scotsman born in Shillong, the Scotland of the East, and he died in his hometown, Scotland. So, friends, I'd like to share these thoughts because I'd like us to know that leadership is, apart from everything else, is about what Sunny has just mentioned. Is, apart from everything else, is about what Sunny has just mentioned, unlocking. You unlock the potential of a people, unlock the potential of an individual, first by unlocking the history and culture of that people. Unless you understand the history, the culture of a people, you will never be able to understand its spirit and never be able to identify yourself with that culture. So I'm happy that you found me to be fit to be part of your discourse, and we would like to partner with you on a long-term basis. The government of Meghalaya would like to partner with your institute because we could see that despite all the efforts we are making to steer the state forward, there are still a lot of naysayers, a lot of people with a closed mindset who do not believe that anything positive can be done. A tremendous amount of that is our young people who are addicted to their cell phones and do not see the world beyond those cell phones. We need to tap that population. We need to ensure that they come out of this fake virtual world. And as the Dalai Lama had said, man has set foot on the moon, but is yet to know his neighbors. So something that I find very ironic, but is also true of many of us. And to address that, we need a team like yours. When you unlock something, it means that locked inside that individual is a wealth of talent, is a wealth of creativity. And before I resume my seat, I'd like to share this thought which I came across a few days back. A person was asked, where is the most resourceful place on earth? Somebody referred to Johannesburg and the gold mines there. Somebody said, no, it's the Silicon Valley. He said, think of this. The place which has the most resourceful people who have never been able to unlock their talents is the cemetery.